Jason was known to the world as the superhero Titan. He arrived at the hospital. His cape was tattered from the night's battle. But that didn't matter now. What weighed on his heart was the call he had received. A young boy named Oliver was dying, and Titan's rare blood was the only hope. In the sterile, quiet hospital room, Oliver lay unconscious, hooked up to beeping machines. His mother sat at his side, clutching his frail hand, her eyes swollen from days of crying. The doctor stood nearby, his expression serious but hopeful. Jason approached the bed, his larger-than-life presence shrinking in the face of the real battle happening here. For all his strength, he knew this was beyond what any superpower could fix. He crouched next to Oliver, gently resting a hand on the boy's forehead. "He doesn't deserve this," Jason whispered, his voice cracking. His mind flashed back to the battles he'd fought against monsters, against villains. But none of them seemed as cruel as this invisible enemy, slowly draining life from this child. The doctor cleared his throat. "You understand the risks, Mr. Titan? You've pushed your body beyond its limits for years. Donating this much could—" "I know the risks," Jason interrupted. "But if I don't do this, he won't get a second chance." He looked over at the boy's mother, who had said nothing but whose eyes pleaded with him. He smiled softly at her, trying to reassure her with the only thing he could offer: hope. Moments later, Jason lay on a hospital bed next to Oliver, an intravenous line connecting their veins. As his blood flowed into the boy's body, Jason felt a heaviness, not from the physical strain but from the weight of his decision. He closed his eyes, imagining what it must be like to see your child slipping away, knowing there was nothing you could do. Slowly, Oliver's heartbeat strengthened. The machines began to beat more steadily. Jason opened his eyes and saw color returning to the boy's face. His chest rose and fell in a steady rhythm. A nurse wiped away tears, and the boy's mother gasped in disbelief, holding her son's hand tighter. She looked at Jason, eyes filled with gratitude that words couldn't capture. Jason, weak but smiling, nodded at her. "He's going to be okay," he said, though his voice was faint. As the doctors worked to stabilize Oliver, Jason lay back, exhausted. He knew he would recover, though it would take time. But at that moment, none of that mattered. He had faced countless villains, but today, saving a single life felt more important than anything he'd ever done. His actions demonstrate that being a hero is not just about fighting villains, but also about compassion and making personal sacrifices to help others.